Hi everyone, it's Andy here. Something a little bit different today. I'm going to be reading some poems, some of my favourite poems to you. And rather than just be focused on the books and on my face, I thought I'd put a collection of pretty things for you to look at. So I'm going to be reading some poems by Robert Browning, Brian Patten, Charles Simic, Sylvia Plath. I can't remember the name of these two people. One by Tanure Oyade, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. One by William Matthews. A poem by Sheena Pugh, who's my favourite poet ever. And I thought I'd end with two very famous Dylan Thomas poems, seeing as he's quite a famous Welshman. Okay, so they're not in any particular order apart from Dylan Thomas being last. And please excuse the sounds, I'm actually sat at the edge of my bed. Okay, so these two Robert Browning poems I actually did in school for one for GCSE and one for A level, and they're kind of a bit scary but really good. My Last Duchess. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Fra Pandolf's hands work busily a day, and there she stands. Will please you to sit and look at her. I said Fra Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. But to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I've drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask this. Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess's cheek. Perhaps Fra Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed, and liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one. My favour at her breast, the drooping of the daylight in the west, the bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace. All and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of 900 years old name with anybody's gift. Who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling? Even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say, just this or that in you disgusts me, here you miss or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessoned so, not plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse, even then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. Oh, sir, she smiled no doubt whenever I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. There she stands as if alive. Will please you to rise? We'll meet the company below then. I repeat, the Count, your master's known munificence, is ample warrant that no just pretence of mine for dowry will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed, at starting is my object. Nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though, taming a seahorse, thought a rarity, which Klaus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. I told you it's quite scary. Okay, and this one, this is one of my favourite poems. I think I read it first when I was about 15, and I was a little bit of a goth. Porphyria's lover. The rain set early in tonight. The sullen wind was soon awake. It tore the elm tops down for spite, and did its worst to vex the lake. I listened with heart fit to break. When glided in Porphyria, straight she shut the cold out and the storm, and kneeled and made the cheerless grate blaze up, and all the cottage warm. Which done, she rose, and from her form withdrew the dripping cloak and shawl, and laid her soiled gloves by, and tied her hat, and let the damp hair fall. And, last, she sat down by my side and called me. When no voice replied, she put my arm about her waist, and made her smooth white shoulder bare, and all her yellow hair displaced, and, stooping, made my cheek lie there, and spread over all her yellow hair. Murmuring how she loved me, she too weak for all her heart's endeavour, to set its struggling passion free from pride, and vainer ties dissever, and give herself to me for ever. But passion sometimes would prevail, nor could tonight's gay feast restrain the thought of one so pale, for love of her, and all in vain. So she was come through wind and rain. Be sure I looked up at her eyes happy and proud. At last I knew Porphyria worshipped me. Surprise made my heart swell, and still it grew while I debated what to do. That moment she was mine, fair, perfectly pure and good. I found a thing to do, and all her hair in one long yellow string I wound 3 times her little throat around, and strangled her. No pain felt she. I am quite sure she felt no pain. As a shut bud that holds a bee, I wearily opened her lids. Again laughed the blue eyes without a stain, and I untightened next the tress about her neck. Her cheek once more blushed bright beneath my burning kiss. I propped her head up as before, only this time my shoulder bore her head, which droops upon it still. The smiling rosy little head, so glad it has its utmost will, that all it scorned at once is fled, and I, its love, am gained instead. Porphyria's love, she guessed not how her darling one wish would be heard, and thus we sit together now, and all night long we have not stirred, and yet God has not said a word. Spooky stuff. Okay, we've got some nice ones now. This is by Brian Patton, who's a writer from Liverpool in England. Something never lost. There is a place where the raspberries burn and the fat sparrows snore in peace, where apples have no fear of teeth, and a tongue not used to dust sings of something never lost. It is a place not far away. It takes a lot of trust to reach, and a spell only love can teach. This is another really short one. It's called Hopeful. Alone, tired, exhausted even by what had not yet happened. Passing a cemetery on the outskirts of London, I saw an angel dip its hand into a grave and pull out a fistful of cherry blossom. And now on to Charles Simic. He's an American writer who I love. And this is called At the Corner. The fat sisters kept a candy store, dim and narrow with dusty jars of jaw-breaking candy. We stayed thin, stayed glum, chewing gum while staring at the floor, the shoes of many strangers rushing in and out, making the papers outside flutter audibly under the lead weights, their headlines screaming in and out of view. And now a poem by Sylvia Plath. It's probably my favourite poem she's ever written, or she ever wrote. Mushrooms. Overnight, very whitely, discreetly, very quietly our toes, our noses take hold on the loam, acquire the air. Nobody sees us, stops us, betrays us. The small grains make room. Soft fists insist on heaving the needles, the leafy bedding, even the paving. Our hammers, our rams, earless and eyeless, perfectly voiceless, widen the crannies, shoulder through holes. We diet on water, on crumbs of shadow, bland-mannered, asking little or nothing, so many of us, so many of us. We are shelves, we are tables, we are meek, we are edible. nudges and shove us in spite of ourselves. Our kind multiplies. We shall by morning inherit the earth. Our foot's in the door. Okay, now a poem by William Matthews, and it's called Onions. And the reason I chose this is because I just chopped some onions earlier today to make onion gravy for our Sunday dinner today. Onions. How easily happiness begins by dicing onions. A lump of sweet butter slithers and swirls across the floor of the saute pan, especially if its errant path crosses a tiny slick of olive oil, then a tumble of onions. This could mean soup or risotto or chutney, from the Sanskrit chatni, to lick. Slowly the onions go limp, and then nacreous, and then what cookbooks call clear, though if they were eyes, you could see clearly the cataracts in them. It's true it can make you weep to peel them, to unfurl and to tease from the taut ball first the brittle caramel-coloured and decrepit papery outside layer, the least recent, the reticent onion wrapped around its growing body, for there's nothing to an onion but skin. And it's true you can go on weeping as you go on in, through the moist middle skins, the sweetest and the thickest, and you can go on into the core, to the bud-like acrid fibrous skins densely clustered there, stalky and incomplete. And these are the most pungent, like the nuggets of nightmare and rage and murmury animal comfort that infant humans secrete. This is the best domestic perfume. You sit down to eat with a rumour of onions still on your twice-washed hands, and lift to your mouth a hint of a story about loam and usual endurance. It's there when you clean up and rinse the wine glasses and make a joke, and you leave the minutest whiff of it on the light switch later when you climb the stairs. And now a weird but fantastic poem by Tanure Oyade. I'm not sure I'm saying it correctly, but that's what we have to go with. Emergency Kit. When I find myself among a laughing tribe, I know they hide something from me. I conjure up a laughter box whose button I press to outlaugh them all. As long as they hear their music, they leave me free. I don't want to surrender all I have. I am a moving stump in the forest of men, and if I stray into a towering company, those more than a kilometre from the undergrowth, I release stilts from my soles. I don't want to be looked down upon by the very top ones. I collapse the long legs where I step into where giants are the required offerings to the gods of the race. I have a lifesaver installed in my body, just in case I am knocked into some deep river. Unless I come out alive, I will be declared evil. Whoever wants his adversary to have the last word on him. So when a hunter stalks me to fill his bag, I call on my snake from nowhere to bite him. Folks, let's drink ourselves to death in the party, as long as we wear sponges in the tongue. Let's stay awake in our unending dream, so that nobody will take us for gone and cheat us out of our lives. And now a poem by Sheena Pugh. It's about something that happened in Cardiff, something I remember happening, and I think it was this poem that won Poem of the Year. It's really fantastic. It's called Toast. When I'm old, I'll say, the summer they built the stadium, and I won't mean the council. I'll be hugging the memory of how, open to sun and the judgment of passing eyes, young builders lay golden and melting on hot pavements, the toast of Cardiff. Each blessed lunchtime Westgate Street, St. John's, the Hayes, were filled with fit bodies. Forget the jokes. These jeans were fuzz stretched tight over unripe peaches, sex objects, and happily up for it. When women sauntered by, whistling, they'd bask in warm smiles, browning slowly, loving the light. Sometimes they'd clock men looking them over. It made no odds, they never got mad. It was too heady being young and fancied and in the sun. They're gone now. All we have left of them, this vast concrete and glass mothership that seems to have landed awkwardly in our midst, and Westgate's dark with November rain, but different, as if the stones retain heat, secret impressions of shoulder blades, shallow cups as sand would do. The grey facade of the empty auction house, 3 stories of boarded windows, doesn't look sad. More like it's closed its eyes, breathing in the smell of sweat, sunblock, confidence. And now 2 poems by Dylan Thomas. They're quite famous, you probably know them. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end know dark is right. Because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in the green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late, they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And the last one. And death shall have no dominion. And death shall have no dominion. Dead men naked, they shall be one with the man in the wind and the west moon. When their bones are picked clean and the clean bones gone, they shall have stars at elbow and foot. Though they go mad, they shall be sane. Though they sink through the sea, they shall rise again. Though lovers be lost, love shall not, and death shall have no dominion. And death shall have no dominion. Under the windings of the sea, they lying long shall not die windily, twisting on racks when sinews give way. Strapped to a wheel, yet they shall not break. Faith in their hands shall snap in two, and the unicorn evils run them through. Split all ends up, they shan't crack, and death shall have no dominion. And death shall have no dominion. No more may gulls cry at their ears, or waves break loud on the seashores. Where blew a flower, may a flower no more lift its head to the blows of the rain. Though they be mad and dead as nails, heads of the corridors hammer through daisies, break in the sun till the sun breaks down, and death shall have no dominion. Well, I hope you like this different one today. When I have some more time, I was really busy at the moment. When I have more time, I'll make a proper video. So thanks guys, see you soon.